Hello, everyone. We are excited for you to join and participate in the Sparex Hackathon at ETH NYC 2022. My name is Ray. I'm CTO at Sparex. What is Sparex? We are a global technology firm building modern-day money with blockchain technology. Our mission is to build a blockchain-enabled society that is equal and inclusive. We launched in 2020, and the Sparex team consists of engineers, mathematicians, economists, marketing specialists, and designers. We are looking to bridge the gap for both experienced and novice crypto users by offering a capital efficient and scalable stablecoin which generates organic yield automatically. Well, how do we generate that yield? Well, first of all, we're decentralized, and USDS holders, that's you and I who hold USDS tokens, can earn up to 11% target yield. Now, how does that yield get generated, you ask? Well, we have different strategies that we use. You can use Curve and other ones like Aave as well. The vehicle for getting that yield is through our stablecoin, which is the largest stablecoin on Arbitrum. We are 100% collateralized using USDC and USDT. We'll add more stablecoins as collateral, like DAI, for example. And we also have a governance token called SPA, which will be used for governance activities. Now, we have two prizes and two competitions going. The first one is for 2,500, and it is to generate the highest yield strategy. So your objective, should you choose to accept it, is to build a strategy contract that leverages the strategy template that we offer you, and it will provide the GitHub address for it, and that automates the yield generation. Now, the criteria for winning needs to be the most innovative strategy. There is no risk to the principal that you put in, and it generates 20% or greater in terms of return. The second prize is 2,500 as well, and it is to generate the most innovative utility for USDS. You'll want to leverage third-party protocols, build an integration solution, and generate utility for USDS, which is a stablecoin. The criteria for winning is to create the most innovative utility used for USDS and has the highest utility rate or projected utility rate. Now, if you want to read more about our USDS smart contracts, you can find it through this GitHub link. We'll also have it in other locations, and you can read through it and then use the actual address on Arbitrum. For the strategy smart contract, we also offer the GitHub link from which you can build sample contracts. And we have a great video walkthrough by one of our top engineers, David.
Hi, everyone. This is David. I'm here to introduce our hackathon project for ETH NYC. The objective of this project is to build a smart contract that can deposit stablecoins into existing strategy protocols such as Curve, Aave, etc., etc. This smart contract should be able to accumulate interest or rewards produced by these protocols over time. Here is a diagram of the basic smart contract architecture. The blue strategy contract is a to-be-built objective. It interacts with strategy protocols, Curve or Aave, etc., to deposit or withdraw stablecoins. We also have a vault contract, and this contract will be prepared by Sparex, and no need for the participants to write or even modify this contract. So the vault contract acts kind of like the owner of all the stablecoins that we are dealing with. At first, it holds all the stablecoins, and through a function called allocate, it allocates all the stablecoins to the strategy. And then strategy can deposit these stablecoins into the strategy protocols on behalf of the vault. Over time, the strategy contract gonna accumulate some interest or rewards generated by Curve or Aave, etc. And the vault at that time will be able to retrieve this interest or reward via a function call. Also, at any time, the vault is also able to retrieve the stablecoin that was deposited into the protocols via function call. That is, the strategy will have to withdraw from the protocols after receive the withdraw function call from vault. So that's a basic idea of the project. The strategy has to be able to interact with the protocols and the vault itself to support all these functionalities that we mentioned here. So we have actually prepared an example or a template of the objective strategy contract. I'm going to briefly go through this contract here to help you have a better understanding of what is required. The first thing you notice is this contract is initializable abstract strategy contract. In this abstract contract, we predefined all the events, state variables, modifier, and some functionalities that we think it's necessary for what is required. We can see this in the implementation or the example in the template smart contract. But here, what is important is first, this contract also has this iStrategy interface. iStrategy interface pretty much similar to the abstract strategy. It's also kind of the skeleton of what is required. But iStrategy interface is a little bit more generalized, and the vault actually interacts with the strategy using this interface. But the takeaway is that pretty much just similar, with iStrategy being slightly more generalized. And this is also an initializable contract, which means we are expecting an upgradable proxy contract. And yes, it's an honorable contract as there are some owner actions. Going back to the example, so here the first thing is the initializer, which is a constructor of the upgradable proxies. So besides the second parameters, the vault address, which is going to be the vault you're going to interact with, all the other inputs here are directly related to which strategy protocols you choose to interact with. In case, for example, let's say we want to interact with curves on 3 pool, then the platform address will be the address of the pool. That is, all the stablecoins or collaterals is gonna be sent to that platform, to that pool. So this is a destination or the storage location of all the collaterals. This reward token address in case of curve is going to be CRV token, because if you have the liquidity or position in the pool, you can claim some CRV tokens from curve. And this might not be the case for some other strategy protocols, which you have to deal with it in this strategy contract. The last two arrays are the asset or collaterals or stablecoins that this strategy contract supports. It depends on how you design the protocols. For example, if we are talking about curve 3 pool, this actually can be an array of 3 collaterals. That is, like, you can deposit any of these 3 collaterals into the pool. And although it does not have to be 3. For example, it can only be 1. It depends on how you design the protocols, how you design this strategy contract. The P token is the LP token or the receipt token, which usually the protocol will send back to you after you have deposited something into the pool. In most cases, the P token should be the same for all the assets here, assuming they're all going to the same platform address. But there are some corner cases, so we make it as an array as well. So it will be a 1-to-1 relationship between the P token and the asset we choose. And the to go is those 2 arrays have to be the same, be of the same length. Your support collateral is a view function to return, like, if this strategy supports the collateral you are asking me to support. By support, I mean if this strategy can handle that collateral, if the strategy is prepared to send the collaterals to the pool and retrieve the collaterals from the pool. And this is actively used in the vault contract. We also prepared kind of like approve function, so you can throw all the necessary approve actions into this function call. Here, this is a deposit function, where you have to define how you deposit the collaterals or stablecoins into the protocol pools. We also have withdrawal functions, which so those two are pretty much similar. There's some slight difference on who's triggering the withdrawal, but they all talk to the internal withdrawal function. The first one can only be triggered by the vault, which means the vault calls vault withdrawal, and it will trigger this withdrawal function to withdraw, to then trigger the action to withdraw collaterals from the protocols to strategy, and strategy send them to the vault. We also have a withdraw to vault. I don't want to get too complicated here, but it's pretty much a similar thing, just that this action can be triggered by the owner instead of the vault. We have this two function called collect interest and collect reward token, which is going to be triggered by this part where the vault called harvest to retrieve the interest and reward from the strategy. That is, the vault gonna call those two functions, and what those two functions should do is that it collect all the interest and reward and send it to the vault. And the reason we are separating the earning to interest and reward is for example, for Curve, the interest is like the fee you get by holding the LP token, because once you hold the LP token, as long as there's some user actions on the Curve pool itself, you earn a little bit of fees. So that's what we're referring to. For the reward token, in case of Curve, it's going to be a CRV token, which you have to actively claim and store. So we separate those two kind of sources of the income, and it's not going to be it's generalized to the Curve's case, but maybe it's not the case for the protocol you choose. So feel free to modify this part. And here we have some view functions the first one is to check the balance, that is to check how much collaterals that was held by the strategy contract, and not necessarily holding in the strategy contract, but those who has been deposited into the protocol, we count it as part of the balance as well. So basically, like how much balance is available for me to withdraw, if I call it withdrawal, from the vault. We also have the view function to check how much interest and or reward that has been accumulated or is claimable at this moment. And here's the internal withdrawal function you have to define. This abstract set token, you can feel free to change this. This is just to, as you can see, there are some approved actions where we need to allow the platform or the pool to spend our asset or P token, but feel free to modify this part. Get pool coin index. This is just to, as we mentioned, we have, you don't have to support only one collateral. You can support multiple ones, depends on which protocol you choose to interact with. And this is just to, for example, if you choose 3, then every asset or every collateral should have its own index 0 to 2. And this is it about the template. And we have listed out all the to-do actions here. And we are expecting some flexibility in your design. So yeah, that's it. And I can briefly go through the vault as well. But it is pretty much has been demonstrated in this graph, like allocate, harvest, withdraw. That's all the major 3 actions that is required. One thing is there's indeed some configuration that needs to be happen before before you can do all the actions, that is, you have to register the strategy contract you have deployed in the vault itself by calling add strategy. But we have prepared a script to do that, and feel free to play around with it. So we have a script called add strategy to the vault, which, as you can see here, we register the strategy in the vault contract, and also like clouds. And we also have prepared a deployment contract to help you deploy the strategy contract. And this is pretty much it about whatever we have prepared. Thank you.